Hey FLOSSTUBE, it's Leigh from Creative Leigh on Sunday, Easter Sunday, the 17th of March 2022 with FLOSSTUBE number 121. Thanks for coming to watch my FLOSSTUBE. In case you've stumbled upon this by accident, FLOSSTUBE, a YouTube channel predominantly about cross stitch and a bit of my life, I guess, a bit rambly at times. Sometimes ranty, but I usually cut the rants out. But it's cathartic to rant. Apologies in advance if you hear some soft banging in the background. I've got the sun filter down, but the door open, so it knocks occasionally. Drives me nuts, but it's autumn. I don't want to put the aircon on. It's about 24 degrees in my house. It's so hot. And I'm melting, a bit pink and melty. So yeah, it's Easter. 4-day holiday for us here in New Zealand. I've got a 5-day. I'm taking Tuesday off as well. I've got a lot of gardening to get done. I haven't done much of it yet. A lot of people are taking the 4 days off next week between Easter Monday and then we've got a day off for Anzac Day next Monday, a Monday week, and that will give people an 11-day break, but I want to save my holidays for later in this year, so I'm going to be at work for 3 days next week. Last week you might have seen, for those of you coming back, I ended up having a quick trip up to the Bay of Plenty in the Waikato last week to go to my friend's dad's funeral on Monday. Quick trip up north. Very expensive because petrol, but I'm glad I went for Tan. It was a nice send off for her dad, and I just needed to be there for her, so I'm really glad. We finally got to sit down at about 3 o'clock for about an hour. Oh no, not even that late, maybe 2 o'clock for about half an hour, 40 minutes. Had a little one-on-one, and by then, you know, people were starting to leave, so I think I was the last woman standing, and basically got in the car about 2:45 to head south, and I got home at about 9:40, I think, so pretty good trip. My car was running like a box of assholes, as they say here in New Zealand. I think it's spark plugs, fingers crossed. Anyway, I've got it booked in on Wednesday for a bit of an overhaul. It's due for its big annual service, and fingers crossed it's just spark plugs, but it's running really rough on idle and was increasingly not troublesome to start, but it had to turn over a lot. Like usually I'm like a push the button and it starts, and it was like push the button and then it would start. So yeah, anyway, I was a bit worried about, you know, getting home in case there was something else wrong and being stuck anywhere. But I got home and it's, you know, okay, but not using it until I take it in on Wednesday. So yeah, what I'm up to this weekend, so a bit of a scrappy catch up. It was meant to be in person, but one of my friends, my scrapbooking friends, has her grown up daughter and daughter's boyfriend tested positive last week, and she'd been with them, so she's just been cautious. We don't have to self-isolate here in New Zealand if you don't live with somebody, and unless you're symptomatic, and she's not, but we're all being cautious, and so we're trying to, anyway, it didn't happen in person, so it's quite windy. I did a lot of preserving on Friday, which I'll show you later. I talked about the feijoas last week. Dad continued to test negative, having been potentially exposed at the rest home where my stepmother is. However, they finally managed to get a test done on her yesterday. Basically, she was the last person in the dementia ward at the rest home where she is to test positive. She was by then symptomatic, and they managed to test her, but with her very advanced Alzheimer's, she's not able to cooperate and doesn't like people holding her head and putting a thing up her nose. So finally she has tested positive, so we'll see what happens there, but she's the last one in the dementia ward. Unfortunately, it's a really difficult environment once it gets in. Most of the people, residents there, are not it's a free wandering around space, so, but within a locked environment, I don't know what you call that. They come and go in their rooms. Most of them are not bed bound or not at all bed bound. So, and they're, with advanced Alzheimer's, they're not the dementia, they're not in the right state of mind where you can tell them what they need to do and that they can follow instructions. So it is just one of those things where they managed to keep it out for 2 years, and probably one of the staff brought it in, or a visitor. Oh no, they've been locked down for visitors, so probably one of the staff, and it's just how it is. Anyway, they've all been vaxxed and everything, so hopefully, well, so far they haven't had anyone pass away with it, so that's a good thing for the families and things. Otherwise, everything's just tricking on as normal. What have I been doing? I've got a few little things to show you, some things that have come in. What should I start with? I'm going to start with a random act of kindness. The lovely Susie, one of our fellow Kiwi stitchers, reached out to me and asked if I would like a duplicate chart that she had, and I'm like, oh wow, this was on my wish list. And so she's passed it on to me, and it's very generous of her. So it is Jeanette Douglas Designs, so the common thread too. I don't want to take it out of the bag because it's like 900 pages, and I don't want to get them mussed up and stuff until I get it photocopied, because eventually this will be passed on to someone else, because that's how I roll. I don't keep charts, but I would need to get it photocopied. Which actually I'm going to be in the office on Wednesday. So officially our office opens again. It opens on Tuesday now that New Zealand has gone down to traffic light orange. What does that mean? Our office is opened. Although we're still asked to be cautious, and I would still be cautious, but to drive my car into Wellington on Wednesday morning to the car place where I take it, and then they usually give me a courtesy ride back to work. So I'll go to work from the office all day. Then so I'm going to photocopy this at work. Don't tell anyone. I'm then going to, our office closes again on Wednesday at 5 because there's some more furniture coming in for our new collaboration spaces. So it's then going to be closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then open again on Tuesday after Anzac Day. So I'm going to go into the office on Wednesday, work from the office, photocopy this. I don't need to photocopy this yet because I'm not going to start this until 2023. Because I don't have all the stuff. I'm not going to buy the embellishment packs and stuff like that. I'm going to kit it up, which Susie suggested. I have all this beautiful silk, and I'm like, for sure, I could totally just kit this up from stash. So it has some charms on it. I bought a bulk lot of charms off of Trade Me, which is like our New Zealand eBay. And I'm sure I can find 5 suitable charms from about $10 worth of charms that I got. But I've got beautiful, it calls for lots of beautiful silks. A whole lot of solids, needlepoint tend to be solids, some classic colour works, some Glorianas, a couple of silken colours, and then one Soie d'Alger, which is the cream, but I've got a whole heap of neutral coloured, like all the white works and cream. I've got a whole lot of neutral coloured silks for you that I can use. So I'm just going to show you. I don't know what fabric I do it on because again I've got at least a year to kit this up. But I have all of for the variegated, I've got so many beautiful variegated silks that I have from Silks For You. Oh, I've changed how I've stored these because the little tags are horrible to use. So basically I've made little cardboard tags, which I've written on the colour, if it has a colour, how much meterage, and when I received it in which club. So, and then I just stapled the Silks For You on the front. But yeah, I've got most of this is Silks For You. I've got a couple of Karen collections in there, and I've also got some thread gatherer silks. I've got some other random silks that I haven't done anything with yet. So I've got plenty of variegated silks that I'm sure I could make work. Not necessarily the same colours as the picture. And of course I've got all my solid silks. But yeah, here's all that cream that I've got that Barb gifted to me in 2020. So, and there's silks and kits as well, because of course I've kitted up a few things with silks. I reckon I can probably kit this up from stash. So thank you again, Susie. I love it, and all the specialty stitches and stuff are gonna be fun. I haven't done any white work or cut work for ages, and it's only a little bit, so it's a sweet little taster without having to get too excited about that. So that was a random act of kindness, which I very much appreciate. Bought a handful of DMC just for a couple of charts that need it. So I've got a couple of greens for Come to the Garden, because I was out of one of them, I can't remember, and a couple of 746, which is what I'm going to substitute the B5200 on Mystic Moments 1, and also on Mystic Moments 2 the same symbol is charted as a sparkly white chronic, so it's too white, so I'm going to substitute that. That's just for Mystic. I'm so far away from needing this colour, but if you're going to go and buy 2 skeins, you might as well buy several. And then 413, which is the dark grey, I'm going to use for Lamppost when I get to it, which is not like till September. But anyway, I grabbed some DMC. Very exciting. My Silks For You came in for March. So first of all, I've got the Colours of the Month, which is the 4 by 15 metre skeins from the standard range, and we've gone all with the pinks this month. So we've got PR186, PR044, PR182 and PR117. So those are the 4 Silks Colour of the Month club. And then the Silks of the Month are a range of pinks and purples, 1 through 5 for March. Got them around the wrong way. Not that it really matters. There we go. So very bright. So that is the Silks of, so yeah, Silks of the Month club. And I bought a PDF off of Etsy, which has been on my wish list for ages, and I just felt like getting it. So TGA Redwork sampler from Just Stitching Along, and I just love it. And it's nice to have a few horizontal samplers, because so many samplers are in portrait or vertical, but it's nice to have some horizontal ones. And I like the different shades of red, and then those sort of extra random little bits of colour, which again, you can just pull random stuff from your stash. It is Charted in Gentle Arts, it does have a DMC conversion. It's 302 wide by 118 high. It's a reproduction, and oh, here we go. The model was stitched on 40 count espresso linen from R&R, using 1 thread of Gentle Art. It's quite handy where the designer has called out a couple of colours that will need more than one skein. So your cherry wine and schoolhouse red. So that red's cherry wine and this is schoolhouse red. We need, I say, 4 skeins, 2 skeins. But also like one of the colours, cottage blue, where the DMC is 926, although they comment that it's only used to stitch the cat and it's not a good match, but you wouldn't necessarily want to go and buy a whole skein of Gentle Art to stitch that little cat, so you'd probably substitute something from your stash, right? So yeah, I just really like it. It appealed to me, but I don't know when I'm going to start it. I don't have fabric and, you know, whatever. I've got plenty of reds that I can substitute because I have some 20 yard skeins of Victorian motto still that I haven't cut into, and I think that I would be able to kit that up from threads from my stash pretty easily and make it look good. Okay, so that is all the new stuff. I sort of went to my own place here for a while. I also, because I'm getting into my gardening, I did buy a book from when I went shopping on Tuesday when I got back, just The Edible Backyard. It's a New Zealand book, like a New Zealand author, which is nice because so many books you buy are Northern Hemisphere, and while you can convert it, it's just not the same. But even the vegetables are different. Like, we eat different things here than what people do, say, in North America. That's just how it is, right? We eat different recipes and we eat different things as our everyday food. So I'm really, yeah, it's a nice little just book on all sorts of things, from foundation gardening through to pest control and how to grow your own, how to raise seeds and everything. Anyway, it's a nice book and I've seen other people get it. That is everything new. Right, so what I've been stitching on. So I had start 13 of 50, my 50 at 50, which you'll recall I just decided to stitch start Frederick from Carriage House Samplings. And I started this on Tuesday when I got back. So 12th of April is when I started Frederick, and I'm stitching him with the called for DMC, because it is charted for needlepoint silk, so we're not doing that. So called for DMC, but on 40 count drifting sands from Country Stitch. And when I stitch Frederica, I will be using the same fabric and also the called for DMC. So one thing that I've deviated from, so Frederick is this border, this diamond border, is left raw on Frederick, so it's charted for just stitching the diamonds and the outline, but the infill between, there's no infill between the diamonds. On Frederica, it's filled in, there's 2 shades of cream either side, like the outside is one colour and the inside. And I decided that Frederick needed to match. So out of the box, I just picked the same infill colours that Frederick has. They're not called for in this chart. And I just bit the bullet. Good on me for making extra work for myself, but that's how I roll. So, and I think you'll agree it looks really good. So I got all of the border done. So that's it with all the infill, and I think it just makes it a bit more striking against the fabric. And then I got all of the little mound, little hill that Frederick is standing on, which are just alternating rows of colour. And you can see where his little feet are gonna. I really should get my dad, once my dad's had his treatment on his hands, because he has he's developed rheumatoid arthritis in his hands, he's getting some injections soon, hopefully. That'll help. Then I wanted to make me a board. But anyway, so you can see where the little feet are there, but that's where I stopped. So I wasn't quite ready to stop once I got the border done, and I do love it, and I think it looks, I'm really happy that I decided to do the infill, which is what Frederick has. So I expect they'll be hung next to each other eventually, and I think it would look I think it would look like Frederick was unfinished. Okay, I could have also left the infill out on Frederick and saved me stitching, but no, I don't need to save stitching. So that is where I'm at with that. That's where I stopped. So that was a good 3 days worth of stitching, I think. Again, working from home. Although I did go into the office one afternoon, they had a hair appointment, and I had a Teams meeting, and I couldn't get from the Teams meeting to my hair appointment, which is in town. So I basically went in at lunchtime, worked in the office for a couple of hours, then went to my hair appointment, so that worked out really well. Then what else did I pick up? So I only worked on one other project, because essentially for me it's been a short week, so I didn't stitch on Saturday, Sunday or Monday. So a whole weekend without any stitching. So I picked up the 2020 pandemic sampler from SarcyGurl, which I started on our 2-year anniversary of going into lockdown. This will start 11/50, so I started this on the 26th of March. And you can see up there by the twink that I changed my mind on the fabric, because I decided once I got this fox and rabbit fabric in, 40 count Prehistoric, it just was perfect. So I ditched the walnut I was going to use, which was quite a dark green, and just went with Prehistoric, and I'm very happy with it. See, sometimes you're not supposed to start stuff when you cut it up because something just comes along. So that's where I'm at too with that. I really could just stitch that border and just live with the border, but it'd look a bit weird having a square with nothing in it. So I stitched, since you last saw it, I basically did all that bit of border. I pulled one length, 6-strand length of the leaf vine colour, and I just stitched the vine until I'd used all 6 strands, and then I backfilled with the red and orange. And then the motifs, I've stitched all of the motifs. Obviously I've just started on this bunch of shrubbery. Last time you saw it, I had the peacock and the tree and that done, so I've stitched all of those motifs since you last saw it. And this is going to fill in here. So we've got a cat, fox, bowl of berries, cute little heart crown thingy, and whatever that is, some birds around a thing, bird feeder, I don't know. But it's quite bright, isn't it? But that border, I love the colours. So this is mostly called for DMC, except for the orange and the red and the border are Victorian motto, as is this colour that I'm using, no, the colour that I'm using for the fox. That's a Victorian motto as well. Everything else is called for DMC. Oh, the white might be different, I think. It calls for, what is it, 3865? Is that the right number? But I went to my stash and I just, because you got to do the house, I just grabbed 2 skeins of Blanc, because they were the first 2 I found in my overflow. So yeah, the white is Blanc instead of 3865. I think it's 3865. Oh no, 3866 is what is called for, but I didn't have enough of that. I just used Blanc. I'm just using Blanc. It's fine. So that is all I've stitched on this week. I probably will finish. I probably will finish that bunch of flowers which is going to stand out way better on this fabric. This is a little bit dark for that colour, I think. I'm going to probably finish this. I don't like to put things away with a motif partially done. And then put it away, and yeah, probably, because that's just how I roll. It won't take like very long tonight, if my arms aren't too sore from digging a hole this afternoon to plant a tree. So that leaves me with what my next start is going to be. So start number 14 of 50. I decided it was time to stitch a Nora, and I've got 3 Bewitching Pixies in my box of kits, and I decided to go alphabetical, so I've got Anna. So at some stage in the future I'm going to do a start along with Judith, with Gigi, but I don't think she's quite ready yet. Anyway, alphabetically I'm going to do Anna, so I just pulled Anna out, and I'll be stitching her on 32 count, what's this called, vintage country mocha something. So just the printed, the printed Zweigart fabric. So that needs a jolly good iron, but I'm going to stitch her on that, all with the called for. Oh, I can't wait to do the bit. I love beading, and I'm so looking forward to doing those beaded sticky things that she's carried. I don't know what they are, wands? I'm not sure, but they are awesome, and I can't wait to stitch them. I'm looking forward to stitching this. Yeah, so that will be my new start number 14 of 50. What should I do? I might go and grab 3 kits and get you guys to vote on what I'll start next week, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've pulled 4 smaller charts from my box. So this is going to be for start 15 of 50, so I want you all to vote in your comments with the keyword on which one you'd like me to start. And again, majority picks if there's a duplicate, no. If I get a tie for the top number next week, then what I do is I'll just stick a tiny decisions wheel and put each one in 5 times and choose from that or something. So basically that's what's happened a couple of times, is I've ended up, when I've asked you to choose, I've ended up with a tie. So, but we'll see. So this one got second last time, so I probably should have just started it by default, but anyway, we've got, first up is Pakopper Bart La Musique, which the keyword's going to be music, M-U-S-I-C. I'm going to stitch this with 32 count platinum, scrap of that, with Victorian Motto Sample Shop Antique Red. So choice 1 is music, which will be La Musique by Pakopper Bart. Next up we've got Quaker Alphabet by La Di Da. I picked this up in Dunedin last year, and I have got 35 count vintage marble, so another printed fabric, and I've got a couple of Weeks Dye Works, Navy and Fathom, which they don't look that different, and that, I guess you can see that one's darker. So your keyword will be Quaker, Q-U-A-K-E-R, so Quaker Alphabet by La Di Da. That is the second choice. Third choice, slightly bigger. This chart was a gift from Zeb, the Hutt sampler, which I'm going to stitch with 36 count neutral fabric from Victorian Motto Sampler Shop, using a couple of silks for you. PR062, that was fabric, floss that was Barb gifted me, and then PR021, which was from my Silks Club. So those two. So your keyword for this will be hunt, Hunt, again the Hunt sampler from Homespun Sampler. And the last one was, quite a lot of these have gifted things, which is really nice. Morning Star by Blackbird Designs, and this chart was gifted to me by Shan, and I have pulled a scrap of 40 count oyster. This is the same fabric I'm stitching the Mermaid Sampler on, and I've pulled 4 Tom and Lily threads from my club. Chocolat, Gorgon, course, and Sesame. So those for Morning Star, and your keyword for this will be star, S-T-A-R. So just a reminder, star, hunt, Quaker, and music. Vote now. Cool. So whichever one wins next week, that will be my start and probably finish next week, because they're all, well, these two might be pushing it. They're a bit bigger, but these two definitely are starting to finish. So I could finish that if I put my mind to it and nothing dramatic happens in my life. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing which one I stitch next. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know what else other than my new start I'm going to work on this week. I might have to see how my arms go after doing some gardening. I have to be a little bit careful with my tennis elbow. And my left arm's killing me. Oh, and quickly before I go, I should show you some of my chutney. So feijoa chutney. I cooked up about 6 kilograms of feijoas in the end. The last sort of kg and a half, I just stewed with a ginger and cardamom syrup, just to have with Greek yogurt or what have you. So that was just, get to the bottom of the bag, and I just spooned out the rest of them and stewed them up. But I had about 1.5 kilos went into making 3 jars of feijoa jelly, which has set pretty well. I did have to do a second boil on it because I don't think I boiled it long enough. I got a bit lazy, and then it said rapid boil for about 20 minutes and then check for setting. I think I probably ended up all up boiling it for about 45 minutes. So jelly, the crabapple jelly and the feijoa jelly, because you cook with the skins, they're both fruits that are quite high in pectin, so you don't need to add any pectin, unlike when you cook, say, berries, where you got to add pectin because berries don't have pectin. So I think it's in the seeds and the skins you get a lot of pectin. As you boil the jelly, you cook the skins and the fruit just in water for however long, then you strain it in a jelly bag, and then you boil it up until it gets to the setting point. Anyway, it's a beautiful colour. So that is 3 jars of that. Apparently beautiful with crumpets. So sore. And then I made 2 lots of feijoa chutney, 2 recipes. One was an Annabelle Langbein recipe. It's a dark one. And it has malt vinegar, brown sugar, some spices, and ground ginger, lots of onion. So this one has, I think it's like 1.5 kg of feijoa, 0.5 kg of green apples, and 4 onions. So quite oniony, and just ends up darker with the darker, like malt vinegar, brown sugar. And then I also did 1.5 kg, my elbow, which I made one. This was a Chelsea sugar recipe, so it's a lot lighter. And this one it was supposed to be raw sugar, but I didn't have any, so I just used white cane sugar, and it has apple cider vinegar, fresh ginger, no garlic, and different spices. So that one has mace, this one has mixed spice. So they should taste quite different. I'm going to leave them for about 3 weeks before we try them, and then I did get a good seal on all but one jar. So the one jar that didn't seal, because I was naughty. These have new lids, but I did use some, like the jelly are in recycled, which you're not supposed to do, but they did pop. They did go down, and it's jam, it's sugar, like it's not gonna kill you. So for the jams, I did use old lids. Does that make sense? As in, this was whatever this was the jar, the lid that it came with. But anyway, I had one that didn't dome, so that one I'll just use straight away. But these should last on the shelf for a little while. I'm going to share them. Anyway, so that was all Friday. It was probably about, all up, probably about 8 hours of work to make. I think I did I probably got equivalent of 4 jars each of this chutney, although some of them are little jars, and I got 3 jars of jelly and probably equivalent of these of the stewed fruit, but I'm not bottling that. I'm just gonna eat that, make smoothies or whatever. So yay me. So that was a lot of work. So that was pretty much all of Friday. So far I've made beetroot, crabapple jelly, feijoa jelly and feijoa chutney. So I'm feeling very industrious. Anyway, that was pretty boring if you don't care about making your own food and stuff. But yeah, I've kind of run out of jars now. So it's really hard to find lids for a lot of jars. Ugh. And it's very expensive to buy brand new jars every year. So anyway, we'll see what we can do. That's pretty much what I've been up to. And thanks for coming along and watching my video. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see what I'm going to do this week. And looking forward to having another long weekend next weekend. Other than that, as always, keep safe, be well, find joy in your stitching, stitch what you want when you want. Don't let it freak you out, it's just X's in fabric. And until next week, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.